first car soccer double tap actually goes back before Rocket League even existed. January 23rd, 2011 is the earliest one I could find. The player is Jayzer, one of the first ever to upload clips from the game Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars to YouTube. A few others go back even earlier than him, like Fisho Kid or Doomsy, who were uploading clips just a few days after the game got its EU release in February of 2009. But while Fisho was uploading stuff like this, and Doomsy stuff like this, Jayzer was already on another level in terms of style. To this day, Jayzer is still pulling in millions of views per month simply by playing car soccer in the most beautiful way possible. So of course, when Jayzer starts his industry-defining career, he starts it off with this. A mechanic involving 2 consecutive hits from an attacking player off the back wall. Set up from the ground, wall, ceiling, or air. The backboard double tap. When the sequel to Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars, or SARP, was released, players of the original game immediately had a head start. And as a competitive scene emerged from this new game, at the forefront of the skills showcased was the backboard double tap.
Oh, god damn!
While it was featured in plenty of eye-catching montages in the early days, the double tap had real potential in competitive play as well. This wasn't always true in the game's first year or two for more difficult and flashy mechanics. A ceiling shot, for instance, wasn't performed in RLCS until Season 4, and flip resets not until Season 6. After all, pulling off something tricky at home in your gamer chair is one thing, but doing it in front of thousands of people, live at a LAN tournament with real money on the line and thousands more watching around the world, is another thing. In the RLCS World Champion Season 3 LAN final, there was one player that seemed especially comfortable with using the double tap in spectacular, unstoppable fashion. I'm of course talking about... From then on, the double tap was firmly cemented in pretty much every professional Rocket League player's skill set. In the most recent season of RLCS, a double tap has been featured in the top 5 goals of the week, every week. Don't let the regularity of the mechanic's appearance in pro play fool you though. Only the game's best players can pull it off. It's a beautiful, difficult mechanic that has incredible use not only for freestylers but also competitively, at the highest level of play. Most importantly, it takes a mastery of every category of Rocket League skill to pull off, and is the ultimate flex of talent. It's also underappreciated these days, overshadowed by more complex, less useful stuff. Today, we're going to break down why the backboard double tap is so difficult, how the best players have mastered it, and how it can be stopped. Then we'll go inside Devo's legendary RLCS double tap play to analyze the close margins separating failure and greatness in one of the most fundamental, creative, varied, and difficult mechanics in the game. This is the art of the double tap. Being able to master the backboard double tap is a demonstration of full control in the game of Rocket League. When you first pick up Rocket League, even the most basic vehicle movements are difficult to control. It takes time to develop the muscle memory and reach a base level of smoothness and efficiency just in movement alone. Add in the ball and things quickly get even more convoluted. To become good at the game, there are 3 categories of skill that must be mastered. We've covered 2 of them before as car control and ball control. Maneuverability, aerials, drifting, and pretty much everything outside of manipulating the ball falls under car control, while dribbling, shooting, passing, everything dealing with the quality of the contact with the ball is of course ball control. The 3rd skill category is the read. The read is all about knowing where the ball will end up, how fast it's going, how high it's bouncing, and at what angle it's coming off the practically invisible arena wall and backboard. The backboard double tap is a unique mechanic because it combines every single one of those categories in the ultimate test of Rocket League skill. Ball control. The first hit to set up the move begins the play. The quality of this touch is crucial to a successful outcome. The ball must be placed somewhere in this zone on the backboard for the easiest follow-up. However, if the player is exceptionally skilled, they can also place the ball in these areas for a more difficult shot. Same for the power place on the first hit. The more velocity the ball has, the further out from the backboard it will bounce. Not enough power and the ball won't bounce out far enough for a possible shot. What I'm trying to say is accuracy, control, and power are all required, just for the first step. Next, high aptitude in reading is required. The player must now predict the exact location of the ball's bounce off the backboard. This is one of the hardest skills to develop in the entire game, and it's one of the areas where natural talent really shines through the most. Finally, perfect placement and a perfect read will be useless without the 3rd component, car control. After the initial hit, oftentimes requiring the player to flip their car, the player must gain control and then quickly get to the predicted location before the ball has bounced too far away from the ideal intersection. I should mention the window of time for this to happen is ridiculously short. All of these skills have to come together as second nature before this mechanic can be pulled off. To get a general sense of the competitive rank players have reached before achieving competency in backboard double touches, I conducted a survey, then made some really shitty pie charts to analyze the data. I didn't quite have enough bronze and silver responses, so we'll start with gold here. About 40% have never hit a double touch. Another 40% have in training but not in ranked, with about 20% hitting at least 1 or 2 in ranked. And just a few very talented or lying golds hitting many backboard double touches in ranked. As we move up to plat, the percentage of players who have never hit a double tap cuts in half, and more have hit many in ranked. By the time we get to diamond, it looks like only about 10% of players haven't hit one, and almost half have hit at least one in ranked. A few also selected the 5th option, which is I've hit many in ranked, often with power and from very tight angles. So this is where we start to see the mechanically gifted players. Moving into champ, almost 98% of respondents have hit a double tap in ranked by now. So it's pretty clear this is the rank where you should definitely have learned it at least competently in training. In Grand Champ, there are a couple players who have claimed to never hit a double tap in ranked, but that's either an incredible feat of getting far with few mechanics or a liar. Definitely an outlier at least, as most players in this rank have mastered the mechanic, with 40% being able to pull it off with power and tight angles. So how are so many high-ranked players able to hit these next-level backboard double taps with ease? One of the easiest ways to increase ability in this area is to simply find the right training pack, and this is by far the best one. Because double taps can be hit from almost anywhere on the field and from an infinite amount of angles, it's important not to practice the same bounce over and over. This training pack requires the player to set up their own shots, which means the ball will always bounce in a slightly different way. The player must always improvise the approach, like in a game. But to get better even faster, a smart player can isolate the 3 skills to work on what needs to be developed the most. If ball control is the weakest link, striking packs should be emphasized, like this one, the ultimate warm-up, which allow repeated quality hits to be practiced from all over the field. To get better at aerial car control to reach the predicted path of the ball as fast as possible, there are a number of drills and training packs to be utilized. To this day, the YouTuber Kevpert has the best philosophy and training advice for quickly improving aerial car control. Players who excel at car and ball control but are not adept at reading the bounce off the wall will still be unable to hit double taps consistently. However, getting better at reads is a slow and difficult journey that has few shortcuts. The best way to get confident in bounce predictions is long free play sessions consisting of repeated hard hits and follow-ups like this, over and over and over. Only after many hours of practice will a player start becoming confident in all 3 areas required to pull off double taps. And even then, there's one big obstacle that's missing from training: defenders. To successfully defend the double tap, defenders need to have nearly all the skills the attacker has mastered. However, being able to read the bounce of the ball off the backboard is the most important thing on this end. If a defender can quickly and confidently move to the ball's path, even the best players won't be able to place a shot past them. The best way to learn this read from the awkward angle in the net is to practice training packs with this specific bounce, since defending the net is a more focused scenario. This is by far my favorite one for this situation. But even after this skill is mastered, there is one problem that players will discover in the game: boost. Being able to stop the double tap requires a decent amount to aerial up high to the ball's predicted path. With little or no boost, a defender can only watch. Now it's time to break down the mechanic at the highest level of Rocket League. We've shown what's required of a player just to be able to perform the backboard double tap. We've shown the path a player must take to master it, and we've shown how to stop it. Now it's time to step it up a notch. The players at the highest level are playing a different game than the rest of us. The power of each hit exemplifies ball control. The bounce of the ball is read instantly from all angles, allowing players to fight for optimal positioning in every challenge. And of course, every player on the field has the ability to get there with the mastery of aerial car control. All of the ingredients are there for double taps to be a regularity, but they're still considered highlight plays because the equally skilled defenders are standing in the way. For a pro, pulling off a backboard double tap is easy, but when it's against other pros, the margins get tighter. Take this game from Season 3 of RLCS for example. Here, Rocket League is played at the fastest speed possible, with little time to react, and no chance to hesitate. Make a mistake, and it will be punished. Add to that the pressure of the event itself. Thousands of fans watching you, commentators analyzing your every decision, the backing of an esports organization. It's hard to imagine being able to push all that aside and focus on all the things you've learned in the game so far. Focus on this one moment. Focus on the way you're striking this ball. Not too far outside the zone so you can't score, not too close so it's too easy for the defenders to snatch away. The read. Where's this ball going to end up? You've done this way too many times. You've seen this exact bounce in free play all too often not to know. In fact, you don't even really have to think about it. There isn't enough time anyway, you're already flying there. Car control. The car is like an extension of your mind. Just a little air roll this way, a little more boost here. The ball's approaching, and you've already lined it up to smash it down into the corner. Away from the defenders you already saw like 0.8 seconds ago. The art of the backboard double tap. The hard part isn't the mechanic at all. It's the journey to get to this point. Now that you're here, well, the rest is easy.